Hello students, this is Seema Gaur from Srimati LP Savani Vidya Bhavan and we are going to continue our chapter number 3, Nationalism in India. In part 1, we have learned about the different factors which were responsible for arising the feeling of nationalism in the people of India. So now our new topic is establishment of the Indian National Congress. The above stated factors and other regional organizations had contributed towards the establishment of the Indian National Congress. By the time Sir A.O. Hume retired as a British officer, he had realized that the British Empire was not as secure as it appeared to be. He believed that if the dissatisfaction among the people of India was not taken care of, there were chances of reoccurrence of revolts similar to the one of 1857 CE. In order to keep the general dissatisfaction at bay, he thought of establishing a political organization. With the factors which we have learned in the part 1, we have seen that the people started uniting and the feeling of nationalism started arising in the people of India. By that time, Sir A.O. Hume, he was a British officer. He realized that British rule in India was not so secured and there was this satisfaction among the people of India, and if it was not taken care, the revolt of 1857 can be repeated. So to control the dissatisfaction of the people, he thought of establishing a political organization to know about the people's problems. Viceroy Dufferin agreed to his idea and supported him. With the efforts of Allen Octavian Hume, Indian National Congress was established in December 1885. The first session of the Indian National Congress was held on 28 December 1885 at Gokuldas Tejpal Sanskrit School of Mumbai with Vyomesh Chandra Banerjee as the president, and 72 representatives from different regions of India were present in this conference. The main leaders present in the conference were Dadabhai Naoroji, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Firoz Shah Mehta, Badruddin Tayyabji, K.T. Telang, Dinsha Vacha, etc. Many problems related to the nation were discussed then. Lord Dufferin agreed to the ideas of A.O. Hume, and with the efforts, they started an organization called Indian National Congress, which was established in 1885, and its first session was held in Mumbai on 28th December. And the president of the conference was Vyomesh Chandra Banerjee. The representatives from the different regions of India were present in this conference, and the problems related to the common people in India were discussed in this meeting. You can see one picture where you can see the picture of 72 people, those who were present in this meeting, which was held at Mumbai in 1885. Then after, the meeting was held every year, like the second meeting was held at Kolkata in 1886, and the president was Dadabhai Naoroji. And to the surprise, the number of members present in the second meeting were 432. It was a quite large number of amount of people increased in this meeting. And in the third meeting, it was held in Chennai in the year 1887, and the president was Badruddin Tayyabji, and the number of members who participated from the different parts of India were 607. In this way, Indian National Congress had meeting every year at different places, and they had different president to discuss about the problems of the people of India. Next topic is the Indian National Congress from 1885 to 1905 in the initial stages. In this para, we are going to learn what work were being done in the initial stage, that is the first 20 years by Indian National Congress. The initial activities of the Indian National Congress were moderate and abided by the Constitution. It included putting up demands for more political rights, economic and social growth and development of education. Among other demands, inclusion of more Indians in government services, reduction of expenditure on military and other administrative departments, debt relief to farmers, revival of the cottage industries, etc. were included. The British government turned down these demands. However, these demands laid down a strong foundation for the future struggle. That means whatever activity Indian National Congress was doing in the initial stage, that were all according to the British government's law and rules. And it had demands like increasing political rights and economic and social growth of the people and development of education. Some other demands were like the Indian government should have Indian people in the government, reduction of expenditure on military. At that time, British government was spending a lot of money on the maintenance of the military and other administrative departments. So there was a demand of reduction of expenses on military and administrative departments and the relief, debt relief to the farmers. As we have learned, farmers were done lot of injustice by the Britishers. So they were under pressure of lot of loan. So there was a demand made to give relief to the farmers from their loan and restarting of the cottage industries, etc. These kind of demands were included. And the British government also, what did they do? They did not accept this demand. Okay, they turned down all these demands, and however, these demands laid down a strong foundation for the future struggle. Means now the Indian National Congress made a list of what all things should be demanded from the British government. Even though the Britishers did not accept their demand, these demands were very much strong point to fight in the future. Indian National Congress passed many resolutions such as the expansion of legislative councils and keep at least 50% elected representatives in it at the central and regional level. The parliament should be more answerable and transparent to the regional assemblies. Due to the demand of the Indian National Congress, the British government granted more freedom to the press and granted more personal liberty and freedom of speech to the people of India. The Indian National Congress inspired many educated youths and fostered nationalism in the educated class. As a result, many capable and potential leaders joined this organization. We know that Indian National Congress was having meeting every year. So whenever the meeting was held, some decisions were taken in this meeting. Some decisions like to demand what to demand from the Britishers, like it had a decision of demanding for expansion of legislative councils, and in the legislative council there should be at least 50 elected representatives either in the central or in the regional level, and the parliament should be more answerable to the Indian people and should be transparent to the regional assemblies. And due to these demands of the Indian National Congress, British government granted some of the freedoms, like freedom to the press, like printing the true news, freedom of speech to the people of India, etc. So now some of the demands of the Indian National Congress were being accepted by the Britishers. So now Indian National Congress, it was inspiring many educated youths by the work which they were doing. The Indian National Congress, whatever work they were doing, by that many educated youths got attracted and it arose the feeling of nationalism in the educated class. And as a result, what happened? Many youth, the young people, those who have got education, they came and joined the Indian National Congress. And so in this way, Indian National Congress got many good leaders. Our next topic is policy of divide and rule. The initial support by the British government to the Indian National Congress soon turned into hostility. The British government officials used to attend the sessions of the Indian National Congress, but later on the government banned the practice. Governor General Lord Curzon took certain steps against the interest of the national integrity and ignored the opinion of the Indians. He partitioned Bengal in 1905 CE as a part of his policy of divide and rule. As we know that Indian National Congress was established by a British officer, and the British government officials also were attending the sessions of Indian National Congress, but very soon, they changed their attitude towards the sessions. They became angry and unkind towards these sessions, and they stopped this practice of the attending these meetings. And Governor General Lord Curzon took some steps to divide the people and stop this national unity. He wanted to disturb the national unity which was taking place because of the efforts of Indian National Congress. He announced the partition of Bengal in 1905 as his policy, as the policy of Britishers of divide and rule. Moving forward, we have our next topic, partition of Bengal in 1905. Bengal was the biggest province of the British India. It included certain parts of Bihar and Orissa with a population more than 7 crores 80 lakhs. It was necessary to divide Bengal since the administration of such a big province was becoming difficult. Instead of removing the parts of Bihar and Orissa, Eastern Bengal with a majority of Muslim population was separated from it. Bengal was the most active province in nationalist activities at that time. The main intention of Lord Curzon was to promote communal differences between Hindus and Muslims by this action and thus weaken the momentum of political awakening among the people. National leaders and the common people understood the intention behind the partition and opposed it intensively. Bengal was a big province for the British India, and it was having certain parts of Bihar and Orissa and a lot of population over there. So it was very much necessary to divide Bengal and remove some parts of Bihar and Orissa. But British government announced the separation of Eastern Bengal, which was having majority of Muslim population in it. And the main aim of this Lord Curzon to announce the partition of Bengal, the Eastern partition, was to create the communal differences between Hindus and Muslims, so that he can slow down the speed of the nationalism which was awakening among the people of India. But the national leaders in India and the common people understood the intention why the Lord Curzon has announced this partition, and so the people started opposing it intensively. Indian people understood the intents of the Britishers to partition Bengal. So the movement was started against partition of Bengal named Bang Bang movement. People opposed this effort to break the unity and integrity of Bengal by rallies, demonstrations, and by distributing pamphlets. Vande Mataram song from the novel Anand Math, written by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, became the popular slogan during this protest, and the nation was swept by a strong wave of nationalism. To oppose this partition of Bengal, people started taking out rallies, means they started gathering at one place and giving proof of the British intention and distributing pamphlets to the people. And the one song Vande Mataram, which is our national song right now, that became very famous during that time of protest, and the whole nation, they were in the feeling of nationalism. People in Bengal observe the day of the implementation of the partition as the mourning day. So when the date of partition was there, the people in Bengal, they declared this day as a sad day, and people all over the region, Bengal region, they went on a strike. As per the suggestion of Rabindranath Tagore, that day was also celebrated as the Day of Unity, because whole of nation was united and opposed against this action of partition of Bengal. So as per the suggestion of Rabindranath Tagore, this day was celebrated as a Day of Unity also. Swadeshi movement. It was decided to intensify the movement against the partition of Bengal, Bang Bhang movement, and expand its base. The main three characteristics of the movement were: first, to trade and use Indian goods only; second, to boycott imported goods; and third, to acquire national education and boycott the English education. Now the people of India has decided to make the partition of Bengal movement more intense, and they wanted to expand their movement, which was Bang Bhang movement, and they added it three more characteristics to this movement. First one was to use and do trade only for Indian, that is the Swadeshi goods. Second was to boycott, means avoid using the imported goods, and to get the national education and avoid the English education. And to achieve these goals, a committee was formed under the leadership of renowned members of the Indian National Congress like Surendranath Banerjee, Bipin Chandra Pal, Arvind Ghosh, etc. They urged the Indians to boycott foreign goods and clothes and use Swadeshi goods. Through articles in newspapers, processions, public meetings, and folk songs, people were made to understand the importance of using Swadeshi goods. Factories were started to produce Swadeshi goods. The import of goods like textile, salt, shoes, sugar, cigarette, tobacco, etc. from England decreased drastically, and the sale of Indian commodities and textile increased. And the Swadeshi movement spread in other parts of India too. To achieve the results of the Swadeshi movement, there was one committee formed, means some people were appointed under the leadership members of the Indian National Congress like Surendranath Banerjee, Bipin Chandra Pal, and Arvind Ghosh. They requested the people not to use the foreign goods and clothes, and to use the Swadeshi clothes. That means to buy the Indian goods only and to purchase the goods which were made in India. And they made the people understand it through writing the articles in the newspaper, by carrying out the processions, by public meetings, and by making folk songs and making people understand of importance of using the Swadeshi goods. When the people started using Swadeshi goods, factories were started to produce the Indian goods, and the imported goods like textile, salt, sugar, etc., which were coming from England, that decreased in a large number, and there was a demand of Indian commodities and textile. And this movement was so successful that this Swadeshi movement spread in whole of India and in different parts of India. National education. The third feature associated with the Swadeshi or the boycott movement was the national education. Students took an active part in the Bang Bhang movement. As a result, many punitive actions such as levying fine or expelling students from the school colleges were taken by the government. This called for an optional arrangements of national schools, colleges for students. In 1907 CE, 25 national secondary schools and 300 national primary schools became functional in Bengal. Rabindranath Tagore started Vishwa Bharati School in Shanti Niketan in 1901 CE. The British government failed in subsidizing the Bang Bang movement. Finally, the British government had to cancel the partition of Bengal in the year 1911 CE. It was a historical and a memorable victory of the people of Bengal that was achieved through peaceful and non-violent means. As the third feature of the Swadeshi movement was to boycott the English education. So many students from the different part of India, they took active part in this Bang Bang movement. As a result, what happened? The government schools and colleges, they were charging the fine as a punishment or a penalty to join this movement by the students, or they were removing the students from the schools and colleges. So there was a need of starting the national schools and colleges for the students. And so in 1907, 25 national secondary schools and 300 national primary schools became functional in Bengal. In that, one of them was Rabindranath Tagore's Vishwa Bharati School in Shanti Niketan in 1901. The British government was not able to stand against this Bang Bang movement, and so they had to cancel the partition of Bengal in 1911. And it was the first time in the history of during the British rule that the people of Bengal, they achieved the victory through peaceful and non-violent means.